Richard Busch, and I am a practicing chiropractor. In fact, I've been in practice for the last 15 years. This is my new installment on the American Chiropractor blog site. And so basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking different issues that I either handle in my own practice or that we work with other doctors from around the country on what they're experiencing in their practices. And we're going to be looking for new installments about once a week. So make sure you're checking back with us so that we can, so you can stay in touch and in contact with us. And so that you can kind of find out some of the things that we're dealing with. We may be able to actually help give you some answers to some of the questions that you're experiencing or some of the problems that you may be having. Today, what we're going to talk about is how to actually thrive and grow in a troubled economy. You know, I think that when we start talking about economic problems or problems with the economy, a lot of times people have a tendency to get scared. Your first instinct is, man, oh my, you know, I was watching the news today and I got really afraid of what actually is happening, what's taking place out there. One of the things that I think is very important for you to do, and something that I've had to do on my own, I stopped watching the news completely. In fact, I don't read the newspapers either. And I also try to stay away from a lot of the regular information or the regular news websites because, frankly, as far as what's going on out there, are you going to be able to change anything? No. Does that affect how you actually respond to what else is going on in your life? Yeah, it does. You know, there's a minister that I listened to growing up, and I still listen to him occasionally right now. His name is Reverend Ike. And Reverend Ike always used to say, what you recognize, you energize. So when it comes to different things like the economic hard times that are out there, if you're focusing on the fact that the economy is going to be a hard time or it's going to cause you some trouble, frankly, it's going to. So I think it's very important for us to make sure that we're only focusing on those different things that we actually can control, and we're making sure that we keep all that other crap out of our minds. Something else when it comes to thriving and surviving and growing in a bad economic environment, something else that a lot of people have a tendency to do is they immediately decide that, hey, okay, we're downsizing everything, and at the same time, we're going to downsize our advertising. I hear about people cutting advertising each and every day. One of the ways that we look at things here is we actually looked at it from the standpoint of how can we grow through this economic downturn. And the amazing thing about it is we've actually increased our advertising and replaced some different things. We look at this from the long-term standpoint. We're not looking at it from the standpoint of what's going to happen right now or today. We're actually looking at it from the standpoint of where are we going to be when everything turns around? How much more market share can we gain during this time of economic unrest? And you know what's happened? We've actually been growing extremely steadily. And when we're all done with this today, I'm going to take you for a quick tour and show you some of the different things that we've done and that we've been able to do to make sure that we're actually growing here. The other thing that I think that's important here in making sure that you're growing and thriving in economically bad times, I think you need to take a look at what it is that you're doing, what type of a product it is that you want to sell. If you want to deal with headaches or treat headaches, then that's probably what you ought to be focusing your advertising on. If you want to deal or focus on patients who are dealing with herniated and degenerative discs, that's what you ought to focus on. If you want to focus on treating young kids or having a family type of a chiropractic practice, that's what you ought to focus on. And those are the directions that you need to advertise. As far as treatment is concerned, I don't care what technique you use or what direction you really want to go. If you want to use Gonstead, or if you want to use upper cervical type of a technique, or if you want to use spinal decompression like I use in my office, or if you just want to do a combination of all of them, I don't care. The biggest thing that I see patients or people make mistakes in when we're working with this is they have a tendency to do two things. Number one, they look at it from the short term. They look at their advertising on a weekly basis, where we look at it on a yearly basis. We plan quarterly and we change everything quarterly, and that's what I would recommend. Very often I see doctors who they think about doing some advertising and they figure out what their budget is, and then they get talked into spending it all in 1 week. And along with that, they don't have a very targeted focus on what it is that they actually want to treat. So they kind of use the shotgun approach, and they throw out all these different symptoms that don't have any effect or don't have any bearing on exactly what it is that they want to treat, because, hey, I'm just looking to get a new patient through the door. Well, we found that if you target what it is that you want to focus on and target what you want to treat, we found that we can actually generate a lot of new patients with those specific types of problems. Okay, so in summary, or just to kind of go back and review, we've got three things that we need to do. First of all, whatever you recognize, you energize. So make sure you're not focusing on the crappy stuff that's going on, because if you do, every patient that you talk to is going to have problems with money. Number two, we want to make sure that we don't pull back our advertising. We actually want to increase our advertising, because frankly, that advertising helps drive new patients into your office. And if you start to diminish or decrease the amount of advertising that you're doing, you know, I can tell you it's going to decrease the number of new patients that come into your office. Number three, we also want to make sure that we're focusing directly on whatever type of patient it is that we want to treat. And if we do that, and if we do those three things, we can make sure that, first of all, we're not going to have a big downturn in the number of patients that we have coming through the door. And second of all, we can actually make sure that we're actually getting the types of patients that we really, really want to treat. Along with that, I would also encourage everybody out there to start looking at moving to more of a cash type of a treatment program for their patients. And there are a lot of different reasons behind that, and that's something that we're going to address in the future. But if you'll hold on for just a second, what we're going to do now, I'm going to take you for a tour of my office, and I'm going to show you some of the new things that we've been doing and some of the investments that we've been making here. Because my office is growing. My practice is growing dramatically. And it's all as a result of making sure that we're focusing on the right things, that we're keeping those nasty negative things out of our head and out of our attention, and that we're also making sure that we're staying true to those things that we actually want to treat, and that our advertising is continuing to maintain and grow just like the rest of my practice is growing. Okay? So if you have any questions or anything like that, please make sure you let us know. You can email me at drbush@allcashpractice.com. That's drbush@allcashpractice.com. And along with that, if you do have any questions, please make sure you feel free to do that. But I also want you to hold on, because I'm going to show you what the rest of my office looks like, and I'm going to show you some of the improvements that we've made around here. Thank you very much. Look for another video blog by me next week, and we'll sit down and talk about everything. I'm going to try to make sure that we get these released on Mondays so that we can get our week started out right. And if you have any questions, or if there are any things that you want us to talk about or want me to address, please make sure that you go ahead and do that. Then email them to drbush@allcashpractice.com. Okay, thank you very much. Have a great day. All right, well, I just want to take you for a real quick tour of the office so you can kind of see the layout of what we're doing. Now, we're just going to go through the decompression area. So this is actually one of our decompression tables. Why don't you follow me? Here we go. Here's just another table that we have. We've actually had this table since 1999. Got another decompression table in here. This is an Alpha Spina. These are the North American medical products. And then we also have another one of the older DRS systems in here. In this room over here, we do have another table. And so, if you're counting, now we're up to, I think, 5. We're going to come on over this way. And this is actually the new area of the office that we've been working with. Okay, as far as this is concerned, we used to have a wall here, and we used to have this ABS table right over here on this wall, and in this room. And my conference room used to be right over here, or my secondary conference room. Now we've added 2 more AccuSpina tables, okay, and along with that, they both actually have cervical capabilities as well. So what that means is that makes it a total of 8 tables that we have here, and we just, as I mentioned, added 2 more tables just in the last 2 weeks. As far as that's concerned, during the course of this time, these tables all run full-time, 5 days a week. And in fact, one of the things that we found is there isn't any real limit to what we've been able to do or the number of new patients that we're able to see. So I encourage you to make sure that you get that success and prosperity consciousness, and make sure that you don't limit yourself, because one of the things I've found is the only thing that limits me in my life is me and the way that I react to things.